Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. Welcome to Bayou Sports Talk. I'm your moderator, Kay, and let's have our panel introduce themselves. So let's start with Coach. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone about yourself.
All right, what's going on? It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den Boxing community. Well, in this case, Lions Den Basketball community.
All right, represented. Next, we have Ru. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Rudy, aka Rude Dog, the world best sports analyst, even better than Stephen A. You know. And if you want to know real sports, then come holler at your boy.
All right, all right. Next up, we have Ray. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Ray, Raymond, whichever one you prefer, the youngest out the bunch. Coming with some of your hot takes and just the truth about sports, keeping it real and giving my perspective.
Okay. Since we have that out the way, let's get started. We have some great topics today that we're going to talk about. So let's go ahead and dive in, and let's start with our NBA MVP. Guys, what do you think? Let's start with Rue. What do you think about our MVP? Who do you think it should be?
I think it should be my man Joel. You watch basketball right now, ain't nobody playing better than Joel right now. That's Mr. MVP. The Joker seems like a joke right now. The Greek freak, he playing great ball. I was gonna say Ja, but Ja didn't got himself in a little trouble. But it gotta be Embiid if you watch basketball right now. He making James Harden look like the old James Harden with the assists and tagging the rim, fadeaways, game winners. You gotta go out to my man and be out there in Philly. Shout out to Big Embiid.
Okay, and it sounds like Rue feels like they should be MVPs on the court as well as off the court. So that's something to really think about. So, Ray, what do you think? Who should our MVP for the NBA be?
Me, honestly, I gotta say, it's kind of up in the air. The Joker good, but his game real basic to me. Even though he put up a lot of triple doubles, it's just ain't nothing spectacular about the way that he plays. Now, in B and the Greek Freak, now that like you gonna get a show watching them, but me, I would say Giannis. I feel like Giannis just a better overall player. He more athletic. I feel like Giannis one of them type of dudes where you could put the team on his back and he could really carry the team. So I'll give a slight edge to the Greek Freak.
All right. So, Coach, do you agree with Ray's opinion?
Uh, I think those two candidates are the top two candidates in terms of the Joker. First of all, I think the Joker, even though he's a great player, I think he's extremely overrated. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I'm just be truthful. I think there's a racial dynamic to that. It's like anytime you have a non-black player, they have to kind of make that player more than what he is. To give you an example of the past, Larry Bird was a great player, but they made him see like he was the best player in the NBA, which he wasn't. It was Jordan at the time. Uh, Also, right now, uh, if you look at the Joker and you look at, excuse me, if you look at the Joker, I mean, he's a great player, but he's overhyped, and also Luka's a great player also, but he's overhyped as well, and as a result, uh, I think the Joker he probably would be in third. In those two candidates that they just spoke about, I think it come down to Giannis and Joel Embiid. I think in terms of from a team perspective, I think Giannis uh, will probably be the front runner for MVP. But in terms of just personal performance, I think it got to go to Embiid for me personally. Truthfully speaking, I thought he outperformed the Joker last year, but because of injury reasons, and I think they just kind of want to push the the Joker harder than than he really is. I mean, he's a great player, but like I said, he's overrated. In the losing streak that the Nuggets have been having recently, it kind of shows that. So, for my money, I think Joel Embiid. I think he's my MVP. Uh, Even though I think Giannis is the best player in the league, I think because just like the year you had Jordan, he was the runner up, and Charles Barkley ended up winning the MVP. I think it's that type of situation as we speak. I think Giannis is the best player in the league. However, Joel Embiid is playing the best. So my MVP is Joel Embiid, and my runner up will be Giannis.
Okay, so since we're talking about these great players, where does the Pelicans stand in y'all voting and playoff wise? Do you think the Pelicans have some kind of potential to at least move further than what they are? Because I know they played on on previously, and they played against the Rockets, and they lost, and they barely lost. So they have a record of 33 and 37. So Ray, can you give me some insight on that?
Honestly, yes. I didn't watch this game because I can't catch all of their games, but I was looking at the stats. And it was like 8 minutes, 9 minutes in the fourth quarter, and it was up by 10. And I'm like, oh, they should definitely get this win. And I was looking at them going like a 4 game winning streak because they got to play Houston again, they got to play the Spurs, and they got to play another team that I feel like they should easily win. But they lost that game, and I'm like, I don't even want to watch them. I mean, unless Zion is coming back, I just don't watch them dudes no more. Honestly, I rather just watch the Lakers with LeBron play in the playing tournament or the playoffs. And the thing about it is, you would expect this team was the same team that gave the Phoenix Suns a lot of trouble last year in the playoffs, but it's like they don't have the same energy, and it's like I don't know. It's just I'd rather not just watch them this year, and not just I'm just thinking about next year.
Okay, so coach, what's your opinion?
Well, to be truthful, I don't think they really have enough this year to even make the playing tournament. To be truthful, uh, personally, I think Raymond brings up an excellent point, but I think the thing that kind of gave him a shot in the arm last year, right at the All Star break at the trade deadline, I think getting C.J. McCollum last year kind of gave him a shot in the arm. But I think at this point, without having Zion and without Brandon Ingram, who's 100% and at the top of his game, I think without those two components, I don't think they're a playoff team, and I don't even think they can make the playing tournament. To be truthful, so I think it's just going to be imperative that Zion gets his weight down. I think he needs to get down to at least 250, so he wouldn't be as injury prone, so he wouldn't get hurt often. So so he wouldn't carry all that extra weight because even though he's extremely athletic and at this point he's not fat, it's just the fact that you know having all that extra weight, you know, along with it comes a lot of injury problems, back problems, knee problems, ankle issues, joint issues. So I think even though it's not fat, he's kind of on the muscular side at this point. I think he needs to get down to about 250, and I don't even know if that's realistic or feasible at this point. So without a healthy Zion and without a healthy Brandon Ingram, completely healthy and at the top of his game, they are not a playoff caliber team in my opinion. And I think at this point, they just treading water. So, hopefully, they could get things right and they could look forward to next year. But the way they are presently constructed, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs or even make the playing tournament. To be truthful,
Okay, so let me ask you guys this question. What do you think they need to get up to par to make them playoff caliber, even championship contenders? What do you think they need, Raymond?
I feel like Honestly, the thing that they need is to stay healthy because they literally have everything they need. Like when I originally think that, oh man, like what else could this team add to make them go to the next level? So I would think like, man, they need somebody who's a rebounder who could be a center and grab rebounds. They got that. Jonas Valanciunas is a pure at heart rebounder. Well, we kind of need somebody who's a scorer who could take over the game and score. You got that in Bi, and you got that in Zion Williamson, who could easily both give you 30 points easily. Me, honestly, even though I just said health, another thing I feel like they need is some 3-point perimeter shooters, which I feel like they kind of starting to have. I do have. I know Trey Murphy is a pretty good perimeter shooter. Jose Alvarado could shoot from the perimeter sometimes too. But like I guess could add like one more person who's a good 3-point shooter. I mean, CJ's a good 3-point shooter, but sometimes he has off nights, and it's like we need that type of person who will be on the perimeter and ready to, to pull the trigger whenever Zion is in the paint and gets double teamed, or whenever Bi is in one of the modes and he's like, he's killing it, like, and he gets a double team. We're gonna need someone, to be able to kick it out to him and shoot the 3-pointer. But I feel like they pretty much have that. They just got to stay healthy and be more consistent.
Raymond, what do you think? I'm sorry, Rue. What do you think the Pelicans need to become that playoff contender, or at least be, you know, suitable to become that playoff contender?
Rule number one: the lack of confidence. They don't have that confidence. They don't have that pusher that they had last year going towards the end of the season. But right now, everybody just playing one-on-one ball, trying to do their own thing. I don't know if got something going on in the locker room or everybody waiting on Zion. I don't know. Like it's just something they lack of. Like from Brandon Ingram playing, coming on the court, just trying to facilitate all the time. Sometimes you got to do like the old fashioned way. Just give it up to a guard and do your position. All this one on one playing ball. And as a coach, as Willie Green, who might be on the hot seat at the end of the season. Because when the season first came in, everybody was talking about they were the most deepest team in the NBA. To now, you might not even make the play-in tournament. You was number one at one time. Now you're looking at number 13 seed or the 12 seed. Teams you can't finish like the Rocket team. They show you right now this team is struggling real hard. Because you can't finish against the worst team in the league, then you really got problems. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's to the point that you need another big fish. You got to move some pieces around or go with your younger players. That's kind of in the air. But as a coach wise, as looking at your team front to back to the end of the depth, you got to know what you need. As you got a good players like Daniel Dyson, a good defender, Herb Jones, lockdown. You got what is it, Brandon Moore, Najee Marshall, good players, Alvarado, Larry Nance. The list goes on. So to me, it's not making sense why you're not winning. You kind of look at it like what the coach is doing. Like as a coach, you got to know your mismatches. Just like football, you got to know where you want to go at with it. Right now, you lost. You just playing one-on-one basketball, and that's not gonna win you a game. That's not gonna cut it. I don't care how much good players you got. I don't care how deep you are. You gotta know. You gotta have a set offense at time. You gotta know when to speed it up, slow it down. Cause different nights you're gonna see different opponents. And as the Pelican wise, like I think you need to let CJ handle the Brock a little more and let Bi do his thing, post it up. He got the best turnaround game in the league right now. As a small forward slash power forward, you know, you kind of got to go that route to Zion and get back. You can't just put everything on Zion because you proof is in the pudding. Last year y'all did it without Zion. Y'all pushed a great Phoenix Suns team last year to a 6-game series that everybody had counted you out to get swept. So you, as a coach, as Willie Green, you just got to sit back and look down at your X's and O's and see what you really need because you got a lot of great players on this team.
Yes, and that's something to think about. The unification of the Pelicans. They lack if they lack that, how can you be whole? How can you strive to be better if there's no unification? So, coach, what do you think? What do they need to move forward and become a whole and become that unit that is needed to be playoff contenders, even championship quality?
Like Rudolph was saying, I think basically at this point, I think they're just waiting for Zion, and as a result, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs this year. I think more than anything, you may need to look forward to next year. One thing I do disagree with them on, even if they don't make the playing tournament, Willie Green shouldn't be on a hot seat by no stretch of the imagination. The injuries uh, is something that's beyond his control. And I know from an X's and O's standpoint, and from a coaching perspective, there are things he could do that will make them a better team. But even with that being said, I really think he shouldn't be on a hot seat. And I think more than anything, I hate to say it, you probably just need to look forward to next season because to be truthful, I think it's possible that they make the playoffs because they're a deep team in terms of the depth, but it seems as if like once Zion went down, it was just like they kind of their hopes and their dreams and their aspirations of uh, making the playoffs and being a championship contender team for this year. It just seemed like when he got injured and he went by the wayside, their aspirations of making the playoffs and making the playing tournament, it went by the wayside also. So more than anything, I think Zion is the key to this particular situation. Even though Brandon Ingram carried them on his back last year, and they made the play in tournament and eventually the playoffs, and they gave the Phoenix Suns a good fight. They're not that same team, and I think them acquiring CJ McCollum last year, even though he's still on the team now, I think them acquiring him last year, it gave them a shot in the arm, and they just don't have that spark at this point.
Okay, so if they lack that spark and they lack the unification and all of these qualities to be a caliber team, do you think, Raymond, do you think that some trades are needed? Do you think that they need a coach that will push them? What is it that can really help them strive for that?
Me, honestly, what I think is, and I was listening to a Dame Lillard interview, like a clip of it, and he was just saying how the NBA now isn't like how the NBA was back then, where you had to earn it, like you had to earn your respect, you had to earn your like leadership. You couldn't like how Ja Morant, Zion, like all these young dudes just came in the door in the franchise. They just gave them the keys to the franchise the minute they walked in the door. And that's the bad thing about it is because it's like the moment Zion came, it's like, oh, we're just gonna give the keys to the franchise to Zion. And it's like I don't even think he's played a total of 100 games in his entire career. If he did, he barely played 100 games in his entire career. And it's like you could see someone who they have at the core of this franchise the moment he goes down is like the team goes down with him. I feel like that's why somebody like Zion should not have the keys to the team. Me, I always said I felt like this was more of Brandon Ingram's team, but and which it should be because Brandon Ingram he'll get hurt, but he's always playing, or somebody like CJ, you got to let a vet really lead this team and get behind this team. For when Zion goes down, it's like everybody hope is lost. Yeah, he probably the best person on the team, but he's not the vet. Like CJ is the vet. I would consider Brandon Ingram the vet. We would say Zion is a vet, but at times he doesn't feel like a vet to me. So it's really they gotta rally behind somebody on that team. And it's like they're trying to rally behind somebody who's always in street clothes. And of course, that's not gonna get it. So it's like you gotta rally behind somebody who's actively playing on the team, whether it's CJ or Brandon Ingram. And I know we keep referring to last year, but that's literally what it was. When Zion was hurt and CJ wasn't on the team, who everybody was rallying behind? Brandon Ingram. that should who have that's who should have the keys to this franchise, in my opinion. Not trying to cause some in-house on team feud or anything like that, but it's like CJ or Bi rally behind one of them, but stop. They it's almost like they putting their hope in something that's not there or that's being delayed. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel on that.
Okay, so I'm gonna make this comment because it's spoken that he was supposed to be back by now, that Ingram was supposed to be back, but hopefully the Pelicans will show some improvement. So, and with that being said, let's kind of shift the gears and move on to the NFL. So, let me ask you guys, what do you think about the NFL Combine? What are your thoughts? Let's start with you, Rue.
Me, you can ask Jim. I'm a big fan of the combine. I watch all the great players coming up. And then you could ask him, I call him all the time, hey Jim, the Saints need to look up and trying to get this guy here. But one of my biggest favorite players I saw in the combine, this guy named Nolan Smith, bro. He remind me of the dude Kayvon Thibodeau from last year. A freak of nature, run a 4-3. He could do it all. Defensive end, outside linebacker, middle linebacker, even cornerback. That's how good he is. I mean, I love the combine from CJ Stroud throwing it on the money. I mean, we had the combine. I like it. Even the black college combine. I watched that too. Watch some of the great players.
Raymond, do you watch? And what are your thoughts?
To be honest, I really didn't pay attention to the combine, and I really don't like over the years. I've kind of not paid attention to the combine. Not saying that it's not important, but it's like you got dudes who's running the 40 in like a tights and a shirt. Man, you're not gonna be running no 40 in the tights and the shirt in the game. You're gonna have on shoulder pads, knee pads, thigh pads. You gonna have on some gear. So you probably can run a 4-3 with barely any clothes on. Let's see if you can run that same 4-3 with probably like 10 or 20 pounds on you, of equipment. They run drills, to see your skills. So it makes sense, but it's like they got people who ran a 4-2, got a 43 vertical, excel and all the combine drills, but then they get drafted and they make it to the league, and it's like they ain't no good football player. So that's why I kind of don't put my hopes in the combine, because if you do good at the combine, does not mean you're a good football player. Does not mean you know X's and O's. So I kind of really don't pay attention to the combine anymore.
And not just that, you also need to be a part of a team. So, if you can't work to be a part of a team, how can you succeed individually as well as collectively? So, coach,
I'm a kind of second Raymond's motion from the perspective of in terms of the combine. I have been watching it, but there's too many players over the years that get to the combine and they excel in terms of running the 40, they vertical, they standing broad jump, they short shut, agility drills, and they excel in all these drills. But yet, when you look at the film, their game film, they really don't jump off the game film. And when they actually get to the regular season and they start playing, they're not the kind of players that you really need to build a franchise around. And, a perfect example was like years ago, they had this player for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that was Mike Mamula. And he got to the combine and he broke all kind of records. And essentially, they were touting him to be like one of the greatest defensive players of all time. That's how great his performance was at the combine. And he only made one Pro Bowl. So in many instances, these guys like Mel Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay and all of these draft analysts and these gurus, the draft is the inexact science. There are guys that are decent in college, like Anquan Bolden, and then they get to the NFL and they're like excellent, very good players to great players. And yet there's guys that's great in college and they get to the NFL and they. So in many instances, if you think this guy is going to be this, he might not pan out to be that. So, I've been watching a lot of the combine. Just to give you an example, a quarterback like Anthony Richardson, you know, I'm watching them perform, these different drills. If you look at what he did this year at the University of Florida, like, he's an exceptional athlete, but this is a pure quarterback. His passing percentage is very low, like 54, 55%. But he's exceptionally athletic. And he gets to the combine, his standing broad jump is excellent. His vertical, all of those things. I mean, unless you're going to take him and move him to receiver, which they're not, like all of those things don't really pay dividends if you're a quarterback. I mean, his completion percentage, his accuracy. I mean, even though he has a strong arm, it's like all those tangible things that you need as a quarterback. He doesn't have it. So that's why I'm not understanding why he's moving up the draft board so much. So it's going to be interesting to see, the team that does draft him, you know, are they going to draft him till he can sit a few years? Or are they going to try to throw him in the fire right away? So, for my personal opinion, I think the draft is overrated. I'm sorry, not the draft. The combine is overrated, and you got certain guys that go to the combine and they excel, but it doesn't translate over onto the field.
Hey, I could add something to that.
Yes, it's your turn. Go ahead.
I kind of disagree with both of y'all because as a coach and you play ball, both of y'all play ball in your career, y'all know you looking at the combine, you ought to know what you want in your system as a quarterback, a linebacker, defense, whatever position you play. Right now, we both could agree. If we talking about the Saints, y'all know what y'all need right now is safety. You know one thing, as a safety wise, you want somebody fast, slow, you know what you're looking at. You know what you're looking for in the combine. You know what kind of players you want to plug in your system, right or wrong. That's how I'm looking at it. So if you don't look at the combine, you just looking at film. That don't mean that guy gonna fit in your system any kind of way. You right? I mean, that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at this combine. I'm looking at right now. We can all agree. Defensive end. We need defensive pass rushing skills. So if you're not looking at this combine, how you know who could do like the cones and all that? You talking about pads and all that? You already got an idea who you want. This combine just make it a lot better for you to know. All right, I got a guy who will squat 600 pounds 30 times or whatever like that. Strength wise, you need that on to go against offensive tackles and different things. So this combine kind of make it better. Like, all right, then I know this guy actually run now. I know what he capable of looking at this combine, like plug him in the system. So I mean, y'all might disagree, but I agree. I think you need this combine. Not a pro day. I don't think you need a pro day, but you need this combine, like other competition and everything like that.
Me, I kind of I see where you're coming from. I feel like we do need the combine to add more clarity to somebody that you could be scouting, but making a selection based off the combine alone is like, nah, that's just not smart at all. Because when you said that, the first thing that thought came to my head, what if you brought a track star to the combine? He would easily run a 4.3, could probably jump a high vertical, but don't mean a track star could play football. That's the thing. As a coach, they're going to look at the film. How do you play with your team? And you're right. You're right about systems. That's why you scout players that play in the college system that you play for your team. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it got some teams that play in the defense that's very good at stopping the run. And you might be like, hey, my defense needs some run stoppers. So you're going to scout teams that has a good run stopping defense. And, you want to see how he fits into the gaps, how he hits the gaps. You can't really get that from the combine. You could probably get how fast he can run in the gap, but that's not smart at all. Because I know when I was playing high school football, I used to run in the backfield too fast. So you don't want to be too fast and you don't want to be too slow. It's more about having a feel for the game. And the only way you could see if somebody has a feel for the game is through the film. And the combine, I feel like them dudes prep for that. Like, we all prep for a game, but they prep for one specific like drill and stuff like that, mainly the 40. So I feel like you not like what you see is not what you get when it comes to a combine. Like them dudes be finessing people. They like, bro, I could just run a 4.3, jump a 43 vertical, run like a full six in the shuttle, and somebody gonna draft me. You know, a lot of these dudes, I don't want to get off the subject, but they out to get the bag. Like it's to the point where the love of the game probably not there. And you could clearly see that on the film. They probably don't have the love for the game, or they probably don't play the game right, but they probably just athletic, you know. But I do understand where you're coming from. I do feel like the combine is important, but I feel like it shouldn't be the number one priority when
Everything.
drafting a player.
Yeah.
Is there
I,
something you want to add, Coach?
oh,
Because and that's something I had Raymond addressed something that I was thinking. How can they draft someone from the combine, and know what you need, and then once you get there, will it be the same? And I would think that not only from the combine that they would take that person on their team, but they're looking at their history, what how many plays they made, how many runs they, how many tackles, how many whatever that player is, if they're a running back or they're a lineman or whatever. I would want to look at those stats as well, because I don't want anybody that, like Raymond said, you may excel at one area and then you might plummet in another. So I mean, you need something that will balance one another, because some may have those anxieties once it's time to perform. What do you think, Coach?
well, I strongly disagree with Rue's point from the standpoint of, you know, like if you look at someone like Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice 40 time was like four
Sports fan.
five, four
Sports fan.
six, but he's the greatest wide receiver of all time.
Talking about sports, Chris.
And you know,
All right.
of course, he didn't have a combine in the day and age he was drafted. But the point I'm trying to make is he's the greatest wide receiver of all time. And a lot of these wide receivers today that's competing and running in the combine, their 40 time would greatly, exceed his. But when you actually put him on the field, those same wide receivers couldn't get open. They couldn't run routes as well as him. They can't block as well as him. They can't do any of the things that Jerry Rice did as a wide receiver. So I strongly disagree with his point. And and from the standpoint of, like I was saying about Mike Mamula, based on his combine numbers, he should have been like the greatest defensive end / outside linebacker of all time. But guess what? He's not that guy. So you can't base those type of things on the combine.
So what you think, Chris? I think the Crackers gonna go look good. I think the Crackers gonna look good. It's up to you, Titi. I mean, the paint go with it too.
Raymond, I can't hear you.
You ain't gonna be cool.
I didn't hear the question because you was on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was asking, what do you think they can do to make the combine better?
Honestly, I feel like they should do this. Instead of them playing 7-on-7 games at the Pro Bowl, they should play 7-on-7 games at the combine to allow them to see, like, all right, do these people play, like they run one-on-one drills at the combine, but I feel like it'll give you a better feel for how they play in coverage and as a team. Because at the combine, a lot of these dudes never play with each other. You probably got somebody who played at Oregon, and you got somebody who played at LSU in Alabama, and somebody who played at a small school like Temple or something. Put them all on the field together on the same team and see if they could, play well together. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that'll kind of make the combine a little bit more fun, add a little 7-on-7 tournament, and like, and make the combine a little bit more competitive to see the competitive nature of a lot of these prospects, because the thing that I like about the combine sometimes is a lot of these dudes, some of them, they overlook, and that kind of makes them feel, ambitious. So it's like you could go to a small school, nobody know who you is. Like I know Coach was talking about Jerry Rice. I'm thinking about Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown went to what, West Michigan? Nobody was really looking for Antonio Brown. Even somebody like Devontae Adams, he went to Fresno State with Derek Carr. Like that's like one of them small schools. That's not one of them big top, top Big Ten schools, SEC schools, ACC schools. So to stay on subject, I feel like they should add a 7-on-7 game to make the combine, more interesting, more competitive, and just something different instead of making the Pro Bowl a 7-on-7 game.
Rue, what do you think?
To add to what Raymond was saying, I mean, if you do a 7-on-7, you still gonna miss a lot of talent. They still ain't gonna look for these black colleges, these small colleges. You're gonna be looking for the stars. Like if you got a 7-on-7, you're gonna want to see Bryce Young versus CJ or Richardson or something like that, or what is number one defensive tackle Carter. I mean, you still gonna miss a lot of players. I kind of feel where you're coming from a 7-on-7, but you still gonna miss a lot of people. And even if you do it like conference, the best 14 players in each conference or whatever, this person from LSU playing this person out the USC or whatever, I think you still gonna miss a lot of people, even though if you do that. So I kind of just let the combine be the combine, I mean,
I mean, you look at it from this standpoint. That's why I was saying like some of these dudes who overlook, they got this ambition. And I was saying like the team should be randomized. Like you could put CJ Stroud on a team with a dude who went to Temple or one of these small colleges. But I'm saying is like, what if the other team is going against CJ Stroud and this dude, and just say the other quarterback is like, man, CJ Stroud, rank higher than me as a quarterback. What if I go out in this 7-on-7, game and I just
but,
outplay
but,
him?
but
That,
guess what? Guess what though, Ram? You know what you're gonna get out there? It might work the first year, it might work the second year. You know what you're gonna get out there? Come year 3, 4, the best player say, man, I ain't messing with that. I'm not playing that. You can't force a player to play a 7-on-7 game, especially when you figure you top talent already anyway. I'm not playing that. I ain't because half of you guys don't want to do the combine now. So you think they're gonna want to play a 7-on-7 game if you already know you're a hamstring or ankle twist or Achilles away from being hurt anyway for playing a fun game. You see how they're going on the Pro Bowl. These guys don't want to be tackled now. So you got to
And
think
that's
about it. These
something
guys,
I was gonna comment about, Rue. That those are potential injuries as well as showing talent. You could have a potential injury doing a 7-on-7, but it can show you what talent they are displaying, but as well as you need to be careful that an injury can happen.
cause like you would know what you said earlier, Ram, like everybody behind the bag. I mean, that was just pretty much behind now. Everybody, didn't have a silver spoon, golden spoon, metal spoon. It was hard coming up. So you had to get the bag now. Like a lot of guys ain't gonna go out there and get hurt or nothing like that when you could cost you millions of dollars. So that's how football is. Not like the 80s or the 70s, the 72 Dolphins, when people had to go out there and scrap for a little bit. Now you guys getting contracts $500 million. So people not gonna they're trying to do their best interest of getting a good rookie deal, 4 years down the line, 5 years down the line, get a big multi-million-dollar deal. So that's pretty much the game now. You can see all the betting in the sports now with FanDuel, Caesars. So it's all about money now. And a lot of people might disagree with me, but it's about Las Vegas. When it come down to the come down, I hate to jump subject like that, but it's all about the money, and everyone could agree with that. You're not playing that sport without getting a big bag. You putting your body, you putting your life on the line. Years to come, say you might not be walking again. You could get paralyzed, anything. So it's all about the money.
that's true.
Coach, what is your opinion? I want you to jump on in. What do you think?
Well, just like
Raymond have a point or Rue?
I strongly disagreed with Rue when it came to in terms of like the importance of the combine. I strongly disagree with Raymond from the standpoint of getting out there and playing 7-on-7 in the combine is basically a liability issue. Is the injury waiting to happen? So, I mean, like Rue was saying, you already gonna have guys. If I know I'm gonna be the number one overall pick, I'm not even gonna compete at the combine. I might just go to my pro day, and if I'm ranked high enough, and I know I'm gonna be the number one pick, I'm not even gonna compete in my pro day either, no matter what position I'm playing, whether I'm playing quarterback, running back, whatever the case may be. So if I know I'm gonna be number one, I'm not even gonna go to the combine. I'm not gonna compete in certain drills or whatever the case may be. They're doing that already. So if you added a 7-on-7 component, of course the competitive guys, they may excel, but even with the 7-on-7, just because you excel in 7-on-7, that don't mean you're gonna excel on 11-on-11. You actually have pads on as opposed to, shorts and t-shirt and track spikes or whatever the case may be. So I kind of see 7-on-7 and the combine itself. I think the combine is an evaluation and assessment tool that you can use to evaluate talent. But at the end of the day, I think you have to have good game film in terms of what you're doing in actual college games. And in addition to that, you go to the combine and you perform well. But you have guys like Tom Brady that was trash at the combine. Jerry Rice's 40 time was low. Mike Mamula, he excelled extremely well in the combine, and he only made one Pro Bowl. So there's multiple examples of guys that defy logic when it comes to the combine. You got guys that came to the combine and blew it out the water, and they didn't even do anything. Like your Ryan Leaf type guys who had extremely strong arm, and he ended up being like one of the biggest busts of all time. Or Jamarcus Russell, who was one of in terms of arm strength, one of the greatest quarterbacks in terms of arm talent, but he didn't pan out in terms of being a great NFL quarterback. So I think the combine is just one evaluation and one assessment tool, but what you actually do on the field, it has to be taken into account also.
Okay. So, is there anything any one of y'all would like to add about the combine? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and let's jump into the Saints, our home team, our state team. What do y'all think? What do you think about the Saints with the free agency thus far, Root?
Me, I think they got everything they need except one piece. I think they got everything they need except one piece. And my man CJ, I like everything they did so far. But I think as Gardner Johnson, as being as a versatile as he is, me, that's what kind of player I like. A player that could play more than one position. Like CJ, he could play safety, he could play cone, he could play nickel, he could play dime. You could plug a player like it in your system. But everything else is so fast. Getting Jamal Williams at running back, I like that. But I don't like what they did on the defensive line by letting Shy Tuttle walk. I think he was a great player. I think you could have given him that deal. And all these other guys, you just kind of put them in as body wise, but as going forward with Carr, I like that deal. I mean, it just how they redid Michael Thomas deal, got everybody on the team to restructure their deal. So I think everything is good.
Root, we lost you for a second there.
Hello,
Yes.
y'all couldn't hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah, we lost you at the end.
Well, as Rudy is fixing his
Y'all can hear me now?
Yes,
yes,
we
we
can hear
can. We
you.
can hear you now.
Oh, y'all heard what I said about the all season?
No, we didn't.
We heard
Oh, my
we heard
fault.
most of it, but you kind of cut off at the tail end.
Oh yeah, someone calling my phone, but yeah, I mean, I think going forward this season, I think we could have a great season, bro. As bringing Jamal Williams in, a great running back, somebody could kind of complement Camaro. Whenever he come back from suspension, Micah T, I think he gonna have a great year. One of the 2019 20 years. I think he gonna come back being great. I think we missing another tight end. That's something we probably could address in the draft, and another guard up front. So pretty much, I think as the Saints, we pretty much right where we need to be at. But I think we need to get back to where we was, being a contender, like a top 5 Saints team. Right now, I think we in the top 15 as Saints, But I think we just missing a few pieces, and we could be right back where we was, and a few little trades, and we'll be right back in the mix as the top team.
Okay, Coach, what's your opinion? Because and what Rudy said, um, I noticed that CJ Garner Johnson, he's still available as we speak. Even though he was drawing interest from the Broncos, he is still available. What do you think, Coach?
I think he brought up a very valid point, but I think the fact that they overpaid for Derek Carr, I don't think they're gonna have the money available really to get CJ Gardner Johnson back. I don't know exactly what the cap situation is, but I mean, the fact that you know they couldn't keep Marcus Davenport, he ended up going to the Minnesota Vikings on a 1-year deal. I think you already knew you were gonna lose him. But the thing about it, they already have Cam Jordan, who restructured this deal. They moved up in the draft to get Peyton Turner. They also have Carl Granderson, so I think you pretty much set at the defensive end spots in terms of outside linebacker. Them losing Caden Ellis, he really didn't move me. So it's fine. You can just let him walk. Let him go to Atlanta Falcons. I'm gonna disagree with Rue in terms of Shy Tuttle. I mean, I think Shy Tuttle was a valuable defensive tackle, but they couldn't afford him. And the fact that he went to another division rival, he went to Carolina, he got a bag. I think you just kind of had to let him go. They couldn't afford David Ayumata either. He left and he went to the Falcons. So it seems like a lot of the Saints players, Shy Tuttle went to Carolina, David Ayumata went to the Falcons, Andy Dalton, he went to the Carolina Panthers. Caden Ellis, he also left. He went to a division rival. He went to the Atlanta Falcons. So it seemed like some of the Saints players went to division rivals, but they made some good additions. Them getting Williams at the running back spot. Like we were saying, I think he could be like a real good compliment, to Alvin Kamara whenever he returns. But I think, until Kamara returns, I think Jamal Williams is going to be like the feature back for the Saints until that point. Them picking up Kellen Saunders at defensive tackle. Me personally, I think Malcolm Roach and Contavious Street probably gonna be your 2 starters, but I think this could be a good like run stopping defensive tackle. From the Kansas City Chiefs. They losing Deontay Hardy on special teams. He was they punt and they kick returner. That might be a bit of a blow. You might have to put Callaway in that particular spot. So that'll be fine. Like I said, there's a lot of areas that they did good and they were able to bring back JT Gray, is a special team kind of guy. Like I said, Derek Carr, I think he kind of like the linchpin. Even though I think he's overrated, they overpaid for him. I think the fact that with him now, like essentially you're in the driver's seat in the NFC South because at this point, by far you have the best quarterback in the division. Because Baker Mayfield, he went to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Andy Dalton went to the Carolina Panthers, and Carolina Panthers also moved up and they took the number 1 pick of the draft. So
Right.
I think in terms of like the division, I think the Saints are like they're the front runner to win the division. They're also able to keep passing though at defensive end. So I think their defensive line is still, sturdy. They still got Dwayne Washington and David Johnson. They were able to keep Jarvis Landry also. They still got Callaway. So in terms of the offense, I think Rue was right. I think they need to get another tight end to complement Jawan Johnson. But if you just look at their offense, so you got Derek Carr at quarterback. You got Williams at running back. They were able to keep restructure Michael Thomas's deal. They were able to get him on a real incentive-laden contract, so you're really not giving him much. So hopefully he could return back to form because, since he's got the big contract, like he's only played in 10 games. So he's been hurt like most of the time. So hopefully he could return to form. You got Chris Olave. You got Rashid Shaheed. You got Jawan Johnson at tight end. Hopefully you can add another tight end to complement him. You got Ryan Ramczyk, who's kind of like your workhorse right tackle. You got Will Clapp, and you got Cesar Ruiz. They were able to restructure Andrews Pete at guard. Hopefully, Trevor Penning, they moved up to get him in the draft. Hopefully, he could come along at left tackle. So I think the real thing they need on the offensive side, they need a tight end. On the defensive side, Rue and I was talking about this the other day. I think the thing that they really need, they need a strong safety, they need a free safety, and they probably need like maybe a nickel or a dime back. So I think the secondary is like their biggest like areas of need in terms of what they need to address in the draft.
Pun, as Kim, I mean, as
Go
Kim,
ahead.
I could jump over Raymond right quick. A couple of things, I don't mean to jump over
No,
Raymond. A couple of things I
no.
disagree with you with Jim.
Hold on,
I,
hold on, hold on.
all
No.
right,
Let me go right quick. Let me go right quick.
go ahead.
So to address, no, we do not need CJ, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but CJ was a locker room cancer. I didn't know this at the time either, but I was on Twitter and I was seeing people talk about it. Especially, you could kind of notice this when he got to Philly and they asked him about New Orleans, and he literally said that he was covering all the best people when he was in New Orleans. Now we all know Marshawn Lattimore is our best DB. Like CJ is a good player, but he was not the best cover player, if you ask me. So it's quite obvious the Saints don't want him, and it's the and there's a reason why the Eagles aren't bringing him back for a reason. And it's like CJ is a very good player, but what's taking teams so long to sign him? That has to let you know that something has to be wrong with his personality. And to be quick, I ain't gonna be long. I just noticed on Instagram they saying that the Saints are hosting Foster Moreau, one of the tight ends that was at the Raiders when Derek Carr was there, and he went to LSU as well. So it looked like they will be addressing some more needs. But they'll probably go get them a DB or something in the draft. But I honestly do not want them to bring CJ back. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he run his mouth too much, and you can kind of see that he's not a good locker room fit for the team. But that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, and that's a good point to make. And that plays over from the NBA as well as to the NFL. You have to be a on field as well as an off field player. So, Ru, what is that you would like to add?
Man, I would like to add Raymond. I mean, you kind of made a point, but it didn't really make that point. Like this dude not signed to nobody because I think he really won't be in New Orleans. He might be a locker room killer, but at the same time, though, you still winning games when CJ was there. You can see the difference in the secondary. You all out to win. And what coach was saying, like Callaway not coming back. They're not gonna sign him back. He's gone. Harden, he got a deal because the Saints didn't play him last year. He played what 2 games? They found what they got at later on as a receiver as Sneed or whatever like that. The Saints going the right way. I think if you bring Gardner Johnson back, I think you got a leader in the locker room as Demario Davis and you got veterans in that locker room. So he's not gonna come there and destroy your locker room like you think he are. You know what I'm saying? He done played in the system before. The reason he left New Orleans, they traded him away for much of nothing, because he was making a big deal. This dude wanted to get paid. You know how hard it is to get your money. That's just like letting somebody black borrow something from you and you never get it back. That's basically the same thing in the NFL is. You want to get paid when you get a chance to get paid, just like Ezekiel Elliott's situation. He wanted to get paid because he know the market of running backs is real low. You look at every running back who think got paid. Most of the deals probably $12 million for 3 years. So you want to get your money while the market down. And the same thing as Pun was saying, like Carr got overpaid. The market in the quarterback is wide open right now. Every quarterback getting paid. You could throw 20 touchdowns. You still gonna get 30 million, 40 million. That's just how the market is right now. It's just like buying a house. The market that's what you sold on. Derek Carr they didn't pay Derek Carr what he did last year. They paid Derek Carr what he did years before. Brought him to the playoff. He never had a winning team, but the market on him as quarterback wise, he got paid like that. The same example for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had one good season to me. They paid Daniel Jones off that last season. Actually, he get more money than your future quarterback and Patrick Mahomes, if you think about it. So the market on quarterback, everybody think they're getting paid now. Even Baker Mayfield, he gonna get a bag, even though he's trash. Everybody knows that. But it's all about the marketing, the position you playing.
but you got to look at the market for safeties. You're right. I 100% agree with you when it comes to quarterbacks.
All
The
right, then
market for
one.
quarterbacks is big, but the market for DBs and like safeties is not really that big. You know what I'm saying?
Tell me how much Marcus Williams got paid last year.
I don't know how much he got paid.
5 years, $70 million. So you don't think they drop a bag on him? And he
I
was
mean,
everybody is dog these positions from safety to
but you gotta
cornerback
look at the agent as
to
well too, though.
huh?
You got to look at the agents as well too, though. They might have a good agent.
But yeah, you might have a good agent, but you still get it's up to the team to sign you. You can have the best agent in the world, but it's up to the team to sign you at this rate. That's just
Right,
like a job you go to perform today or tomorrow. They might not know your ethic or your work ethic, but they're gonna pay you on what you telling them or what they're seeing you did on your resume,
right,
right or wrong.
right.
So he had a resume that he caught a couple picks. All right, then they're paying him 5 million, 70 million. I mean, 5 years for $70 million. So you don't think Gardner Johnson gonna get somewhere in that area?
This the
Five
thing.
years, $60 million, something like that, you know.
This the
So
thing though. You could be a good worker, but if you got a horrible attitude, a horrible personality, nobody not gonna hire you. So that's the point I was making. Like Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is a dog. Ain't no questions, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Antonio Brown is a dog. Could kind of still be considered a Hall of Famer. Was on his way to being one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. But I know we don't need to talk about his personality. Not saying that CJ got a personality like that, but hey, if this person is kind of a locker room killer, he's starting fights at practice. It's good when he talk trash on the field, like when he got punched in the face by that dude from the Bears and it got a flag. That kind of benefited us. But you get into with Michael Thomas at practice, and the moment you get traded from one team to another, you start down talking the team you got traded from. I'm like, bro, like, that's kind of, what I'm saying? That's kind of suspect from a personality standpoint. And ain't nobody going to, want that in their locker room.
you're right. They might not want that in their locker room. That's just like a past relationship. You dealing with somebody might ask you about that person. Oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. It's kind of basically what you got going on, and you kind of want somebody got that firepower, not to back down to nobody. I don't care how long you've been in the league, but I feel like I'm one of the greatest cornerback safety. I'm not backing off nobody. That's the same attitude you should have too as a person. Like I'm not backing off from nobody. Do you think that makes sense? Like if you're a rookie, I'm just gonna go back down because that's Michael Thomas. No,
Nah, it's not. It's not. I mean, I agree. You're supposed to have confidence, but at the same time, you're supposed to be humble. Because if you're a rookie, it's quite obvious. You don't know everything. And they got a lot of stuff to learn. It's a lot of stuff you need to learn, supposed to learn. Be competitive. Nobody telling you to like be soft and stuff, but at the same time, you got to be careful what comes out your mouth or like what you say. Me, honestly, I don't know what CJ Gardner Johnson be saying or what he be telling people and stuff like that. And like, I'm pretty sure everybody could 100% agree that they would love his competitive nature. That's why everybody loved him. Because you could watch him on film and be like, "Oh, this dude is a dog." But we don't know what he verbally says, or in the locker room or anything like that, or tells people.
Well, hold on, fellas. Let me jump back in on this conversation. Now, I'm gonna be truthful, man. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that. Even though he may be a cancer in the locker room, the defense, once he got traded and went to the Eagles, the defense did not have the same swagger that it had prior to his leaving. So, he gives the defense a certain shot in the arm when at the beginning of the year last year, not this past season, but the previous season, when they played against the Green Bay Packers, having C.J. Gardner-Johnson, David Ayumata, and Marcus Davenport and K'Wan Alexander, those four players kind of added a certain degree of speed to their defense. And it's like once they traded him to the Eagles, it's like the secondary. Tyrann Mathieu, when he was in his prime, he was a very good player. But at this stage in his career, he's not that guy. And, whether they can afford it, I think more than anything, I don't think the Saints have the cap space to bring C.J. Gardner-Johnson back, whether they wanted him or not. So even with that being said, they still need another strong safety. They need another free safety. And they need another like nickel or dime back. And in terms of, going back to the offensive side, I said that Deontay Hardy, he left, via free agency. But even Callaway, I mean, if they're going to keep Traquan Smith, who knows if they're going to keep him or not. But, they don't need Callaway because, I mean, he really didn't even perform that well last year. I mean, Rashid Shaheed, you know, I don't think he's the punt returner that Deontay Hardy is. But, I mean, in terms of a weapon on the offensive end, in terms of being a wide receiver, I think Rashid Shaheed, I think he's, much better than what Deontay Hardy was as a offensive player.
I mean, but what about this though? I feel like, because we got a real young secondary, but you got to give them time to develop. You know what I'm saying? Like you got somebody like Alontae Taylor. Like we all could agree that Alontae Taylor he stepped up pretty big last year. Not saying that I know I was kind of saying I was hoping that he kind of replaces, CJ Gardner Johnson as that key figure to the offense. I mean, key figure to the defense. But it's like I feel like we have people on our defense. You just got to give them time to develop and grow. You never know. This shit could be the year that they break out. Me, I don't know. I mean, yeah, CJ Gardner Johnson was a good piece to the defense, but I don't feel like he was the piece. Like I feel like if you take Demario Davis out of our defense, then our defense gonna go to shambles. But taking CJ Gardner Johnson out the defense, it kind of hurt us a little bit, but I feel like you could kind of replace his presence, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm gonna have to disagree. I don't think it hurt the defense a little bit. I think it hurt the defense a lot. Defense a lot. I mean, I know Demario Davis. Him and Cam Jordan essentially are your defensive team captains, and I understand what you're saying, but the secondary just was not the same. And in terms of getting another DB, I didn't say they need a number one because Lattimore's your one, Taylor is your two, Paulson the Debo is kind of like your nickel or maybe even a dime back, but they still need like a full defensive back. You can't count on somebody like PJ Williams. So they need a full defensive back, to kind of help because, you're going to play a lot of dime because it's a pass-happy league at this point. So you need a full DB. And like I said, I mean, I don't think you're really going to replace CJ Gardner Johnson, but I think you need to get another strong safety and another free safety because despite what people said, I was never moved or never impressed by Mays. So I think you need another free safety, and because he never replaced Marcus Williams. He not even in the same stratosphere as Marcus Williams.
That's the thing though, cuz they don't know what he is, strong safety or free safety. Him or Honey Badger.
I don't mean to cut you off. He kind of in no man's land. He really not. He's not a good strong safety or free safety to be real with you.
And like the Honey Badger, Ramsey City got a young secondary. To me, that's two old DBs right there. Them guys pushing in their 30s. You know what I'm saying? You get in your 30s. It's a different lifestyle, pun.
I'm talking about everybody behind them. I'm not talking about them, but I'm talking about like the people that's behind them. Like
I mean, yeah, I feel you coming from, cuz but as getting a Gardner Johnson, you can afford him because everybody on the team restructured their deal, from Ramcheck to everybody. If you're checking out, everybody restructured their deal, so they have cap money to get a leader in your secondary. You kind of need that.
Yeah, but they gave Derek Carr a bag though, cuz.
Huh? They give him a bag, but Jimmy, everybody restructured their deal so they could make the move they made.
Right. Everybody wanted Carr.
Huh?
I was saying everybody wanted like Mike T. Everybody wanted Derek Carr.
That's why everybody on the team. That's why everybody on the team restructured their deal. And don't get me wrong, Raymond. You made a good point. But I would have kept PJ Williams at free safety instead of paying them other guys. PJ, if you look at the year before that when they played Tampa Bay, when they played the Jets and all that, man, PJ was having the business, bro. Last year you didn't see too much.
I strongly disagree. I think you need to get him out of there.
Oh no. When PJ Williams was playing slot cornerback, yeah, get him out of here. But when he was playing safety, I was like, all right, he need to stay at
that was a night. That's what I'm saying. That was a night he played, man. Jimbo, I know there's one thing, bro. You high on certain players and some players, man, he played great at free safety. I was feeling like you, like, man, they need to get rid of that dude. He always getting burnt. He gave up the touchdown in the playoff game against the Vikings. I'm like, man, they need to get rid of this dude. The following year, they put him at free safety. You know what I'm saying? Some people not good at all positions, so they plugged him in at free safety. He played great at free safety, bro. He was catching picks. He was coming on, put the hat on,
running backs, and everything. So I think you need to put him back at free safety if they're gonna keep him. You need to move on from Traquan because he can't do nothing against nobody. I think you can find some better talent than that. And you can find another great receiver out there in free agency, like the dude Darius Slayton. He balled out last in New York. I believe you could get him on a cheap discount deal.
Oh no, man.
You know,
Didn't somebody just give him a bag?
I never saw it yet.
I don't know. But back to what you were saying in terms of certain players being high. I mean, I'm high on certain players. You the same way, bro. You high on certain players. Hey, you know how you do when you real high on the guy.
So, guys, let me ask you this. I hear all of y'all mention PJ Williams. Is he a free agent right now, or is he sidelined? Because I see that he has had a previous injury, a knee injury. So, uh, where does he stand? Is he a free agent
From from
right now?
from my understanding, I think he's coming back.
Okay. And are y'all agreement that he is
what a
a key part of Saints line or not?
Well,
What about you, Raymond? Do you think he is?
I think the thing about it is, I think in terms of the secondary, they keep saying, hey, they should put him at safety, but they didn't have him playing safety last year. They had Mays playing safety. So, between him and the Honey Badger, that was a free safety and strong safety. So, I mean, maybe he is injured. I know, but I didn't see him like the last stretch of the season. So, I mean, in fact, I didn't see most of the season to be real. So,
Yeah, because they have him as injured. Raymond, what do you think? You think that PJ Williams will be a good asset back on the line with the Saints?
Yeah, of
As
course.
I would think
I feel like he
they
has that depth. You want depth at every position. And I feel like he adds that depth. Like somebody could be having an off game, and you just put them in the game. To. So nothing hurt with having Duff, and having him. And it's like the thing about it is something I kind of noticed what a lot of people are saying on Twitter as well is that a lot of people is complaining about Derek Carr, but it's like, who else we gonna sign? Who else we gonna get? Look at all the other quarterbacks out there. Like who else we gonna get? So tell me about all other DBs that's out there. Who else we gonna get? Sometimes you got to be appreciative for what you have. So it's like I look at the team we have. We don't have a super trash team. We have a fairly decent team. We had one of the best defenses last year, and we still got a pretty good offense. I feel like we gonna have one, if not the best, we're gonna have one. We're gonna have one of the best offenses this year. So it's like I'm just appreciative for all the positions that we have. You're not gonna have 99 and 90 overalls at every position. You will have some of them people that's like 75 overall people. But be happy that we got something. And when you look at the market and look at your options, you'll be like, all right, I'm satisfied with what we got. So it's like, tell me who in the draft or who in the market that we could get that we could plug into DB to a tight end position to all these positions we have needs in that's gonna make our team better.
I
Let
got
me
one for
ask
you.
you this.
Oh,
Well, let me ask this because I hear you say, what other options do we have? Okay, so let me ask this. When they took Derek Carr, because this still is just mind-boggling to me. There are so many quarterbacks, and I'm not saying that he he may be good for the Saints. We don't know, but there are quarterbacks that haven't even been signed that we could have squares in that space with not as much money and still left some of that cap open that we can get whoever else we need. Like there was, I don't know what y'all think, but what about Cam Newton? And there are
Oh
quarterbacks
no,
that
like hey,
No,
hey,
yeah,
Kim,
Cam Newton is
like
done, done.
oh no.
Yeah,
like
Cam
Kim
Newton is
Bo said,
done.
he saw
Say
his better
Cam
days.
Newton is
Yeah,
UNE.
he that was Rude Dog guy, but he done at this point.
Yeah.
so you think he's
Hey,
done done.
like Kim, to get on that note, as football player and as playing the position of quarterback, you're looking for a gunslinger. You're looking for somebody that can step up in the pocket and deliver a pass. As you look in that car, that's what you're getting. You're getting a guy that can deliver a pass. That's why all these guys restructure their deal. Now it's up to Carr to go out there and play football now. You didn't got your change, you didn't got paid. Now it's up to you to go deliver the game. And as y'all talking about like free agents and people, they got a guy named Darnell Washington, tight end 6'7", another Jimmy Graham security blanket. You got all kind of pieces you could really plug in and play ball. Like they got a lot of pieces they could move.
So, because I see you, yes, he from the combine, correct?
They're like the quarterback marketing.
Trying to be
And,
drafted.
huh?
And yes, he's young. Yes, 6'7", 21 years of age,
A,
two
a
sixty
security
nine.
a security blanket. They got this draft is deep. They also got a guy from Florida State. Listen to what I'm telling you. 6'4", I mean 6'6", another security blanket, Marcus Colston. That's why I kind of watch the combine because I see a lot of these guys, and through the years, you see these guys develop and already have a clue on them, just like when it comes to the NBA. So Derek Carr is one of them guys like you kind of need him as being a gunslinger. That's what you miss at Drew Brees. And sometimes it could be just like a relationship. Sometimes you got to move on from a team that you was with all this bad negative energy to a new team that's is your team now. Instead of Jim, you know how it is playing with all. When we just play basketball, we playing with all these good dudes. What we do, we never used to win. So when we used to go with an average team, we know how we used to roll. That's just how this game here go, Jim. So when you got a team like that, and then they got a lot of people from his old team won't play with him now. They got 5 players. Hollins, the tight end, went to LSU like Raymond named earlier. They got a defensive end. They got a lot of people won't come play with Carr. I mean, them guys probably saw him as a leader on that team, and playing with a young team that's disrespectful. That's nobody give you that kind of respect to go into a new team where everybody give you that kind of respect.
So let me ask this, guys, because I heard y'all address some of those issues, and summing it up. What do you think the Saints need to move forward so that we can get another championship, another Super Bowl ring down in New Orleans? What are those key pieces that the Saints need, that the front office need to put on their priority list? Because with me, I'm like, talking to outsiders, because to me it's hard to see what is actually going on when you are in the midst of things. So what do you think about that, for one, the front office not being able to see what is actually going on, and what are the things that they need to address? And let's start with Ray. What do you think?
Me, honestly, me, I kind of feel like they really don't need to address nothing. I personally feel like we good. Of course, there's always areas to improve, but I feel like we got our quarterback. Our defense pretty much the same for the most part. We got weapons, so I feel like we good. I feel like we got a receiving tight end in Jawan Johnson. We gonna have our blocking tight ends. You could put Taysom Hill at tight end. And I feel like when they bring in Foster Morrow or Morrow, however you say his name, I feel like he'll be a very great asset for blocking. And so I feel like everything is good. Defense, special teams, offense. There's really no areas that are like question marks for me. The thing that really matters the most is can everyone get their chemistry together and play well. Like I love the example that Rudy just gave. You could put an all-star team together. We see that in every single sport. I remember that I forgot this year. This was like 2011 when the Eagles essentially had this all-star team.
Yeah, yeah.
They had
Namdi.
Namdi Opson and Asante Samuel on defense. I think Michael Vick was on that team.
Yeah, Michael
They
Vick.
pretty much had that all-star type of team, but
Vince Young.
came together.
Vince Young.
He wasn't a fact on that team, but he was third
No,
string.
but I'm saying he was the one that made the Dream Team comment, though.
All right.
Yeah. But I feel like that's why, chemistry is very important. Like you could look at kind of like Tom Brady. Tom Brady is Tom Brady, but like when you look at some of the weapons he had around him, he didn't have no super big high names around him. Even Drew Brees. Marcus Colston was our best receiver for the longest.
He was a
Like
dog, dude.
he was a dog, right? You know what I'm saying? And when Drew Brees, I mean Marcus Colston played for us his entire career. Jimmy Graham, when he was with us, he was a dog. But
He was a
arguably
dog.
two tight ends in the league. He went to the Seahawks and the Packers, wasn't the same person.
The
You know that
Bears too. He was in
show you that
communication with
chemistry
Bears for a
plays a
little
big.
while.
That's a good point you made, Raymond. That's an excellent point, bro. You couldn't make it no better than that, bro. But it's to the point now. I think we need pieces like me and you, like we are just saying, a young tight end like Washington, somebody who would be a big security blanket. Like you gotta go 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 14. Somebody you could put a little quick slant, post, or comeback, anything, a drag route, whatever you need. You need a security blanket in the offense. So many years we saw Breeze throw it to Colston, Thomas, Cooks. You know what I'm saying? So in the offense, you got to have somebody that's playing quarterback. You got to have somebody you could drop back. I could count on this guy, make a play. That's what we're kind of missing right now. We need a guy that we could just count on, just making a play. I know Olave good, but he drop a few balls too. You need somebody that could, like a Jimmy Graham. Jimbo, we watch the game a lot of times. This boy either run a straight post or a deep slant or whatever, Jim. Throw it up against a safety, a cornerback. You 6'7" and you got a cornerback
Backshot fade
5'11"
all the time.
all the time. You can't stop that. That's touchdown. That's what you missing in this offense. You need somebody that you could go to, and they had that. That's why the offense was so dominant so many years. You had a coach and that somebody could go across the middle. He could drop it off. A guy like Pierre Thomas ran the best screen game ever. Kill that. You had Darren Sproles, somebody you could just dump it off and just let him make plays. So it was so hard for a defense to really focus on and key on one guy. As a non, you pretty much just got you get Jawan Johnson a deal, but to me he's still like Jim said, he don't move the needle for me. Like he all right, but he's not that kind of guy to be, man, we could throw the ball to him every play. You kind of got to go out there in free agency, was pretty much already sold up, and go in the draft and grab you one of these young dogs. If it take a first round pick to get a security blanket, well, let it be that. You need help in your secondary right now. These two guys back there right now, man, they in la la land. They lost back there. Balls they throw over their head, they miss it, they don't know how to read it no more. So to the point now, this draft you got right now, that's one of the deepest drafts. You need to go get you a safety, go get you a young dog at safety, cornerback, another pass rusher as your boy Miles Murray. He a dog too. You need another guard because Pete be on the sideline more than anybody I know, man. He like a coach now.
Yeah, he
He
definitely
don't even play
interesting.
ball no more. He just getting paid
Yeah.
just to stand on the sideline. So you gotta address these positions in these drafts. Just like me and you do, Jim, when we to play Madden, the one you used to have '09. We played it to 2019 almost. You need to write your players down. You know what you need in that draft. You kind of got to know where you're going. You got to have a key on where you're going at in this draft. Like, you got to get every player. That's how you're going to win a Super Bowl. You got to know, like, what you getting in the draft. Like, you need
So
a
that's
guard.
what basically what the front office needs to address, what they need to make their team more unified, as well as, because I want people that will stand up, be leaders, and cause our atmosphere to be more unified. There's no other way to say it, because whatever happens in that locker room spews over into onto the field. So if you're having problems with your cornerback, or you having problems with your wide receiver, it's going to happen on the field. You're going to see it on the field.
Right.
That's just my opinion. But so Ruth, it seems like you think they need basically
Man,
offense.
I think that you need both, not just offense. But I tell you the truth, you need all three of them. You need a great special teams too. That you might need an all-side kick or whatever, a playmaker on special teams. You need somebody that can always give your team a spark. You know, as like this tight end I'm telling you about. You need somebody like a quarterback could throw it to, a defensive player. Somebody could get you a key sack, a good cover guy. And so like they're just not a team right now. You could throw out there and say, "All right, the Saints gonna go ahead and just win the Super Bowl." No, they're not. You need these young players you could teach to come up and be veterans in the game. Like when they took Gardner Johnson, they took him in the third round. Nobody thought he was gonna be like that. Micah T. They took, nobody never thought Micah T was gonna take off. Like Pun was saying, Coastal, Mr. Irrelevant. You never thought Coastal was gonna be that good. There's a lot of players that you could plug in your system and make them system players and teach them like Ram was making a point earlier. You just because you got all the best people on the team don't mean you're gonna win. You kind of need everybody to be together on the same page, and it come with like chemistry, time, and everything in
That
that.
unity.
Yes, everything come with that. And I'm more, offensive guy, so I think you need to go this pick here. I think you need to go get your security blanket. And mean a security blanket wise, you get you a big tight end or a big receiver or somebody. You got Micah T yet, but teams like that year when they were winning on the game, he had all them catches. They were double teaming them, damn near triple teaming them. You want trying to take that pressure off your best player, because you're another guy that stays hurt all the time too. So you don't want to be dependent on him and he get hurt. So I'm thinking you need another offensive weapon to go along with him.
Coach, what do
Uh,
you
well,
think?
well, I think, like I said earlier, I think they need another strong safety, a young strong safety. They need another free safety. They need another defensive back. Somebody could be like a dime back. I think they also need, like we were saying, I think they could use just another tight end. I'm not saying this guy has to be, a superstar, but somebody that has a certain degree of utility and versatility. Somebody could block. Somebody could be a receiving tight end, kind of like Jawan Johnson, kind of like be the best of both worlds that could both block and catch passes. Whether you split him out wide or flex him out wide, uh, whether he's an inline tight end, either or. But somebody could be a good receiving tight end. And like he was saying about the offensive line, Andrews Pete he's often injury prone. In addition to him, Cesar Ruiz, he's not reliable and dependable. So you can use you another good guard. So another good offensive lineman. Uh, you need another strong safety, free safety, another defensive back, maybe another tight end. I think that's the five key areas of need you have in terms of pass rushes. I disagree with Rue because they got Carl Grandis, they got Peyton Turner, they got Cam Jordan, they got Passano. Man, that's four defensive ends there. So I mean, how many more defensive ends you gonna need? So
So let me ask this question. And I hear you all talk about a tight end, and I know at one point when we had Jimmy Graham, he was doing a thing. Do you think he still has it? And if he does, do you think the Saints will try to bring him back and see what becomes of that? Let's let's start with Coach.
well, I'm gonna be honest. At this stage in Jimmy Graham's career, Jimmy Graham's done. I mean, to say he's seen his better days, that'll be an understatement. So I think you could forget about Jimmy Graham. I think Jawan Johnson is a good serviceable receiving tight end. The thing about Jawan Johnson, he's a good receiving tight end, but he's not as dynamic as Jimmy Graham was in his heyday. Jimmy Graham, you could put him as an inline tight end. He's gonna go up the middle. He was gonna run a seam route, or run a drag route, or run a corner route, or come back, or whatever the case may be. And he was gonna get open. Or you could flex him out wide, split him out wide, and you could just throw, back shoulder fades and jump balls to him all day. So that's why Drew Brees liked Jimmy Graham so much, because like Rue was saying, he was a safety blanket type tight end. Now, Jawan Johnson is a good receiving tight end, but he's not as dynamic as Jimmy Graham. He's not the athlete Jimmy Graham was. And just to be truthful, he's not even the athlete that Jeremy Shockey was prior to Jimmy Graham. So the point I'm trying to make is he's a good receiving tight end, but you know, like we were saying, it'll be good to have a guy that could take the pressure off of, Chris Olave and Michael Thomas and Rashid Shaheed. So you don't have to rely on those guys as much in terms of, your receiving core. And in addition to that, this way your third round pick is going to be pivotal because, like he said, they got Jimmy Graham in the third round. They got Alvin Kamara in the third round. So the Saints have been known to hit on like third round picks. So if they could get, a player that magnitude hit big, uh, with a good third round pick that's going to be a dynamic offensive player, I think the Saints, they'll be in a position because I think the way they currently constructed, they're already the best team in the NFC South. But you won't get to the point where you're a Super Bowl contender.
Yes, sir.
We can't hear you, Kay.
Raymond, what are your thoughts?
On Jimmy Graham, Jimmy Graham, like his career over with.
So let me ask this: since y'all all say his career is over with, am ask this. So we're heading towards the end. Who do you see that the Saints, maybe name two people that you think that the Saints should pick up, that you think maybe one, if they couldn't get that first person, maybe that second person that the Saints should put on their list for the draft? Let's start with you, Rue.
Kill me on mute.
No,
No,
he
I'm not on
no
mute.
she no
Oh,
she said it. What key players do you think they need in the draft, Rue?
all
Name
right, I'm
two
good.
players that you have saw that you think the Saints should pick up.
I think I got two. I could do this. I got two people that I think they should get, and I got two sleepers they should definitely get too. The two people what they might be going on the board. I'm Washington and Nolan Smith. They might be gone in the first round, but I'm also high on Miles Murray, also high on Wilson, who played at Florida State, the big receiver, number 14, who killed LSU in the first game, and I'm high on the guy from Tulane, Spears. Dude is a beast, man. You could run him with draw screens. There's a lot of things you could do with him. And a linebacker from Auburn, I forgot his name, bro. Start with a P, man. I forgot the guy's name. My bad, Kim. I'm sorry. I know you told me too, but I got a lot of people that
No problem.
I'm sorry for that, man. Ram, I see you looking like you're mad up there with me, bro. But I'm sorry, bro.
Oh no, I'm just watching TV. I'm just watching TV.
All right then.
Okay, Raymond, what are your thoughts? Uh, who are two people that will be on your list that you think the Saints should pick up on their draft?
Me
That
too.
first person and that second person that you think, and if you have more, you're welcome too. But what do you think?
Two people that I always wanted to, that I really want the Saints to get is Hendon Hooker, the quarterback from Tennessee, because I feel like he's really our future, and I really like him as a quarterback. And I would say that second person is like who Rudy said is Tajay Spears. I feel like he from Ponchatoula, so he an in-state boy. He went to Tulane, so he one of those in-state boys. And I feel like he'll be a great running back, man. Like he was balling at Tulane the whole season, but when you was able to get a chance to watch him against real competition when they upset USC, I was like, yeah, he legit. So I feel like Hendon Hook and Tajay Spears.
Okay, Coach.
I'm gonna kind of have to second Raymond's. I was big on Hendon Hooker when they blew out LSU. It really showed me that he had a lot of poise as a quarterback. I mean, he's very athletic. He could kind of be the heir apparent to Derek Carr because at this point, Derek Carr is your starter. Uh, James Winston is your backup. But the thing about it is, you know, I mean, I'll prefer that they drafted Hendon Hooker, but I don't think they're gonna draft him because, essentially the Saints are in win now mode. So I don't think they're gonna draft a quarterback. Like Ram was saying, also and Rue say also Tajay Spears is running back. I think he could be, you know, a guy that can kind of fill a void of Alvin Kamara if he's suspended for an extended period of time. But outside of like those two players, I think most so in terms of positions, like I say, the hundred badge, he has a lot of tread on the tires. So I'm not gonna say necessarily a player, but you need a strong safety.
Chris
And like I
Smith,
said,
dog. Chris
Mays
Smith.
Mays didn't move me, so I think you need a free safety, and then just another DB that could be a dime back, and that could be a fourth DB when these teams go spread and go to spread package.
Uh, I got a couple more, man. Y'all don't have it on Hooker. Y'all have it on Hooker, but I'm gonna tell you something. You could get that same player further down in the draft as this guy from Louisville. I don't want to say his name bad, wrong, but it's Check him out, Kim. He played quarterback. The same play Lamar Jackson played, and he played just like him. Just like
And
him.
what school is that?
Louisville. Check him out.
Okay.
Mannerham, Birmingham, something like that on that same token. He's a good quarterback. They got this guy from UCLA, Thompson, another guy that can ball out too. And you still got Max Duggar that played good ball with TCU. So you kind of could still fill in position, but you don't have to go that high after just paying the quarterback all his money. And they still got people like Zay Flowers. He another speed receiver that could bust the field wide open. And you got safety wise, you got a guy Chris Smith, you got the guy Bowder who played up there in Alabama. So you got a lot of position you still could go. You got DJ Turner, a slot cornerback, kind of run a 4-2 that could make a kind of a difference on the field. You on zone out, play coverage. They got a couple of guys from Maryland too. I forgot their name, but a lot of people. I've been doing my little research. Watching the combine and everything like that, and seeing their film on film too when I watch college game day and college football. So
So
look out
are
for
you
them
talking
names
about
there.
Quincy Riley from
And they got a
Louisville?
guy from TCU, Quentin Johnson, the best one, almost like I ain't gonna say Jamar Chase, but he's a great one-handed catcher that can make plays. That's
Okay,
probably
Quentin Johnston. Yes.
so.
Is
And
that who you're talking
Jordan,
about?
yes, and Jordan Addison from not Jordan Addison. What his name is? He gonna be gone by the time the Saints draft though. But he another playmaker.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
One
Go
other
ahead,
player I left out
coach.
too. I know he did a terrible job at the combine, and when I saw LSU play against Southern in person, he didn't move me. But I think Keyshawn Boutte at wide receiver, I think he'll be a good addition
That's
for
a
the
good move.
Saints.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
good move too, Jim. Because everything right now, all the eyes against him. So when the eyes against a player, all you can do is rise from that point there. So I think he'll be a good, slot receiver.
So
Oh,
guys, are there
so one more person like the Saints probably could get too, who would be a good DN is BJ Ojolari from LSU too.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point, Raymond, bro. Yeah, I forgot all about him. He a beast too.
are there any other comments that y'all would like to add that we have covered today? Because this was a great discussion.
Okay, and
Coach, starting with you.
well, in closing, shout out to the amazing LDBC Lions Den boxing community. Well, in this instance, Lions Den basketball community, and shout out to the greatest university in the world, Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. I hope y'all have a blessed and phenomenal weekend. We'll catch y'all next Saturday at 2 p.m. Hopefully, we can resolve all our technical issues before, because that's what delayed us today. But y'all have a great weekend.
Okay. Okay, guys. So let everyone know how they can follow you, Rue.
Go ahead and follow your boy right here, Rude Dog, aka Black Mexican on Instagram, Rudy Harvey on Facebook. I even got a little Snapchat, you heard me? Yeah, I think that name Little Rudy T. Go check me out on that too. I have all kind of the latest, the greatest. I'm a chef too now if you want to go follow me now.
Ray, how can they get in contact with you? And what are any comments you would like to leave?
No, I enjoyed the discussion today. How people could follow me is on Instagram _King Ray with two Y's and another underscore at the end. Um, hope everybody, be blessed and they enjoyed our conversation. And shout out to Southern University as well. I'm also a graduate of Southern University. Big SU.
All right, Southern University. So, guys, I want to leave y'all with a quote because I'm
Shout out to
so glad
Jackson State.
Jackson
I
State.
just mess
Oh,
with y'all, Jim.
come on.
I just mess with y'all. Jim won't like that.
So,
Hey,
everybody,
bro, that's treason in this film. You can't do that. And this family that's treason, so don't do that, bro.
So everybody, I hope y'all enjoyed our discussion. I hope you can like, comment, subscribe, follow, and share for more information. And if you would like us to discuss anything or any other topic that you have, please comment in the section down below. And I'm gonna close you with the quote. The quote is, your goal should be not reach, never out of sight. So this is by Felicity Lucky. So I hope everyone has a blessed day. And until we meet again, we hope to see you next time. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Thank you for following us at Bayou Sports Talk. Have a great day.
Shout out to my dog Bunny Bread. Hey, Bun.